Welcome back, friends. In our previous session, we have gone through the virtual machine and the operating system structures. Especially, we have understood the layering mechanism of operating system, which has been implemented in certain real-time operating systems like the Unix operating system, MS-DOS operating system, Mac operating system. Okay. Now friends, let's move to the next topic or next concept, that is called the process management. So what do you mean by a process? So up to now we have seen that we have different types of operating systems that they have been helping us. They are acting like a government. See, whenever user writes any program, whenever user develops any program, it is the program only. It is the source code only. But if the source code has been made into execution, then you have to call it as a process. So that means a process can be thought of as a program in execution. So that means a process can be thought of as a program in execution. That means it's a process. If any source code which is in running mode, then call it as a process. And for any process, if you are going to execute, what exactly it need? A process needs certain resources. Like, what are those resources? The first resource is the CPU slot. If there is no CPU, then process cannot be executed. Correct or not? So the first resource is the CPU time, and in order to hold some data, some intermediate data, the process should need some memory. Okay. At the same time, to copy or to stream the data or to access some files, it also needs some files through different kinds of IO devices, etc. So a process will need certain resources. Like, what are those? The basic resource is the CPU utilization or CPU time. The next resource is the memory, and the next comes to the files which are being accessed by the process, and last one is the accessing the IO devices by the process. So these resources have been allocated to the process, either which is created or while it is being executed. So these resources are being predefinedly allocated to the process, or they might be allocated during the execution of the process. Now try to see the same definition in another dimension. That means a process is the unit of work in most systems. Correct or not? See, whenever you say anything in a computer system or computing system, so what you going to see? The process only. So the number of processes it is doing, or how many jobs it is doing, based upon that we speak about any system. Here in this scenario, the process is the unit of work in most systems, and system consists of collection of processes. So that means in any system, in any operating system or in any computer system, you don't have only one process, rather you have n number of processes which are being running at any time. Of course, when you have opened any file or when you're doing any job, probably in the task manager you can see only your job. But if you try to see the process or background process which is running in the operating system, you can see n number of processes which are running in the background. Okay, right. So don't assume that the computer is only doing one job right now. Rather, it is doing multiple jobs, several jobs in the background, even though you have one or two jobs in the foreground. So all these processes sometimes will execute concurrently. Concurrently means that going on, they are being executing parallelly without any sequential manner. They have been going on parallelly. You have to remember these words. So these processes may be executing parallelly also. At the same time, see, system consists of different processes, and these processes might be including with the user job. At the same time, these processes might be included with the operating system processes also. In the early operating system or in the early systems, the user computer or the computer system will have only one thread of control. That means user's job has been designed in a single thread, means single line of execution. But right now the scenario has been changed. So the single job can be accommodated with multiple jobs, and we can say that they have been accommodated, which a single thread of control has been converted into multiple thread of controls. So that means we have the capability, or the operating system has been refined in such a way that it can do multiple jobs parallelly or multiple jobs concurrently, and these jobs can share the data, these jobs can share the resources, and they can be executed parallelly. So instead of having a single line of control, these jobs can have multiple lines of control. That means any process can switch to any process can switch to any resource. Now we may put a question: what is the role of the operating system in such environment? See, the operating system is responsible for the following activities. What are those activities? The creation and deletion of user as well as system process. So coming to the process management, what is the operating system responsibility? Operating system is going to create a process, both the user level, at the same time the system level. System level means the operating system level. The second task is the scheduling of processes. The scheduling of processes means at which job has to enter into the system, and which job has to be allocated the CPU, and which job has to be executed by the CPU. That is called the CPU scheduling. So this will be done by the operating system with respect to the process management. So this is the second task. The first task is the creation and deletion of both the user and system processes. The second task comes with the scheduling of processes. Okay, and once the processes has been scheduled, to synchronize these processes without any conflicts, operating system will do the synchronization. At the same time, in order to communicate between these processes, operating system will also create the communication. At the same time, if these processes are being allocated with some kind of resources, in order to reduce the conflict of accessing those resources, operating system also perform some kind of deadlock handling. So friends, these are the activities done by the operating system with respect to the process management. Let us try to recall them. The first one is the creation and deletion of both user and the system processes. The second activity is, or the second kind of responsibility by the operating system is the scheduling of processes. And the next comes is the mechanism, something like the synchronization, communication, and the deadlock handling for the processes. So these are the responsibilities handled by the operating system with respect to the process management. Let us try to understand the concept of processes in detail. See, let us try to recall the definition of process. So what do you mean by process? A process is a program in execution. You can underline this statement. If you have any program if you developed any program, if the program is running in a computer, that's mean you've been executing a process. Very simple. Next, a process is more than the program code. See, don't assume that the program code is having only 10 lines. Assume like that. If your program is having 10 statements, don't assume that the program can be, the process can be of 10 lines only. Because let us try to see some example. In the C language, you're going to put hash include conio.h, hash include stdio.h, or you might be keeping some other header files, right? And in the program, you are going to use some kind of predefined built-in functions like the printf, scanf, getch, etc. See friends, these kind of libraries, these kind of functions, you are not writing the code, rather they have already the built-in code with the C programming or C compiler. So whenever you are executing a C program, that means the original source code of these functions will be copied. That means your 10 lines of code will be replaced into 1000 lines of code. Whenever you write a printf, the background source code has been copied over there before it is being executed, but it will not be been visualized by you. Still, whenever you are writing the hash include hash include conio.h, that means the complete library package has been included with the program. Now the program is not been of 10 lines, rather it is of very huge size, right? So don't assume that the program and the process both are same. No, process is much more bigger than the program. Correct or not? Yeah. So the process is much more bigger than the program code. So that's why we say that the statements or the instructions which you have written in the program, it is called the text section. It is called only the text section. So don't assume that my program is of 10 lines and it is very small program. Don't think like that. Even though your program is of very less number of instructions, rather it might be doing very big job, right? So the statements section is also called as the text section of the program, right? At the same time, the program is also includes, or the process is also includes the current activity represented by the value of the program counter. That means whenever you're executing your program, that means the program might be having the current state. The program might have some current state. Don't confuse my friends. Let us try to understand the same current state with some example. For example, you went to the ATM. At present, the ATM is in idle state. It is not doing anything. But once you have inserted your credit card or debit card in the ATM, now the ATM has been changed its state from idle to reading the data from your card. Now it changed the state. It is doing some activity. So that changing the state is called transition. transition, transition, right? So the process is not always in the same state. It might be changing from one state to another state, depends upon its current activity. And once your data has been processed, now the ATM might be dispensing your cash, and ATM might be dispensing or printing the receipt, right? So the state has been changed. In the previous state, it is in idle. Next, it is in checking whether the authorized user or not, the card is perfect or not, and checking whether the details are matching or not. Once the details have been matching, now the ATM is in which state? It is in cash dispensing state. At the same time, it is in printing state. So like that, every process has different states. So what are the different concepts associated with the process? The first one is the text section, which contains the actual instructions or the source code. And apart from that, a process will be associated with a kind of state indicating the current activity. At the same time, the process can be accessing on some data. the process can be accessing on some data, whether that data can be coming from files or coming from the user or coming from internet or coming from any other source. So this data is called the data section. The first one is the first component associated with the process is the text section, contains the instructions. Second component is the process state, which indicates the current activity. And third component is the data section, in which the process is going to work on a particular data. So that is called the data section. At the same time, the process may also contain some other things like the memory limits and the registers, the operating, the CPU registers, the main memory limits, and it might be having some kind of permissions or some kind of relativeness with the IO operations. Apart from that, a process can also have a specialized data structure. A process can also have a specialized data structure called the stack. So stack means, what is the principle with the stack? The stack follows a principle called last in, first out, or first in, last out. That means whenever the process is going on, it tries to hold some intermediate values, or it tries to hold some data in the stack such that it can access the recent values, or it can pop out the recent values. Now let recall what are the things associated with the process. The first thing is the text section. The second thing is the process state. At the same time, within the process state, it also contains the program counter, means its number. What is the number for the process? The program counter. At the same time, at which instruction it is been going on. The instruction number also, the program counter or instruction number also. At the same time, for every process, it contains some process number, PID, process ID, process identifier. And what are the other things? We can see the data section, we can see the stack, and the process may also include a heap, which contains the memory which is dynamically being allocated during the runtime. So the process may also include some kind of heap. Heap means, don't be confused with that. It is some kind of, it's a collection of different memory segments in which the process is going to access during runtime. You can visualize the same thing, the process in memory. So what are the components associated with the process? They are the text section, the data section, and coming to the heap, that is the memory segments or the memory addresses. At the same time, process may also contain a specialized data structure called the stack. Now let us try to identify or understand a little bit more about the process concept. So friends, you have written a program. Okay, let it be some checking the prime number. Okay, in the C language. And your friend has also wrote the same program, and assume that both has written the same source code. Now, so both the programs are being executing in the computer. Assume like that. So both programs are being executing in the computer. So you may put a question, sir, since the source code is same, so both the processes are same? No, because although the two processes may be associated with the same program, they are nevertheless considered as same. They have been considered as two separate execution sequences. That is the basic difference, my dear friends. So even though you find that the source code is same, but they are being considered as two separate execution sequences. That means each process has separate text sections, separate data, separate heap, separate stack sections, and separate program number, separate program counters. So that is the basic difference you have to identify. That is the basic points you have to understand. Now let us try to understand the concept of process state. See, as a process executes, it changes states. So as a process executes, it changes state, as we have mentioned in the ATM example. The state of a process is defined in a part by the current activity of that process. That means that the state deals with, the state belongs, or state can be understood by the current activity of the process, and each process may be in one of the following states. You can see the picture. What is the first state? That is the new. So that means just now the process has been created. Now what is the state of the process? That is in new state, right? Once the process are being executed by the CPU, then you have to call it as the running state. Okay. Once the process has been executed, or once the process is in execution mode, then call it as the running state, right? Okay. During the execution of the process might be requiring some kind of input output, or process might be waiting for some other input interrupt, right? We have two chances. One, during the execution of a process, the process might be waiting for some kind of input output from the external entities, or process might be waiting for some kind of interrupt, right? Now what happens? The process will be paused by the running state, and it will be made into the waiting state. Okay, so that means the process is waiting for some event to occur, something like the IO completion, or waiting for any signal. So that means the process is in waiting state, right? So once the process is got back, means the interrupt has been completed or the process has been resumed, then you have to call it as it is back in ready state. It is back in the ready state. That means the process is waiting to be assigned to a processor. So it can be assigned back to a processor. Okay, everything went fine. The process has been executed successfully. The data segment, the text segment, everything has been finished. Everything has been done successfully. Now the process has been terminated by the CPU. What is the current state? It is in terminated state. The process has finished execution. So what are the 5 states associated with the process? The first state is the new state. That means the process is being created. The second state is the running state. That means instructions are being executed. And the third state is the waiting state. That means the process is waiting for some event to occur. What are those events? Something like the IO completion or the reception of a signal. And what is the next state? It is the ready state. That means the process has got back for the assignment of the processor. That means the process is waiting to be assigned to the processor. And the last state is the process has just now finished and it is in termination state. So friends, we have seen the process states, right? So we have also mentioned that the process is going to work on some kind of data and some kind of memory segments. It is also having some counter, the program counter, etc. So we need to hold all these values, correct or not? Right. So in order to hold the process parameters, like the process state, the process number, the program counter, the registers, the memory segments, the open files or anything. So in order to hold the complete process parameters, you need to have a separate block in the memory. That block is called process control block, or it is also being referred as the task control block. Both are same, the process control block or the task control block. You can see the picture, my dear friends. So what is the first one? You can see the process state, the process number, okay, assigned by the operating system, and the program counter. The program counter indicates that at which line at present the process is going on in its instructions. For example, a total of 100 instructions are there. Up to now you have finished 30 or 35 instructions. So program counter may be pointing to the 36th line. So program counter indicates the current executing source code instruction line, right? Apart from that, the process might be taking the help of some registers to store the intermediate data. So registers are also been associated with the process control block, and process might be working with the main memory segments. So what are the limits? What is the minimum address and what is the maximum address, so that I can access the data in the main memory? That is the memory limits. And apart from that, what are the other kinds of files which the process is going to be accessing? So these are the parameters which a process control block holds. What are those? Process state, process number, program counter, the registers, memory limits, and list of open files. Of course, these are not been confined. You can be seeing very diversified parameters associated with a process control block. Let us try to understand what do you mean by a thread. So we have understood that a process means a program which is under execution. Correct. If the execution is in a single line of control, that means the control does not have any sub controls, rather it has only the single control, then you call it as a process, right? If the control is having a set of different or diversified sub controls, then you call it as a thread. So don't be confused with that. Anyway, let's try to understand a little bit more in the next sections. So what do you mean by thread or a process? A process is a simple thread which is having single line of control. If the process is having multiple lines of control, you have to call it as a multiple thread or multi-thread concept. Anyway, so the process model up to now what we have discussed is a program that performs a single thread of execution. Friends, let us try to visualize how the process switching has been done by the CPU. Let us try to visualize the process switching done by the CPU, or how the switching of one process to another process is going on. Look at the picture. You have two processes, P0 and the process P1. Assume that you have two processes, the P0 and the process P1. Assume that at present the process P0 is going on. You can see in the picture the process P0 is going on. Okay, after some time the process P0 has received an interrupt or system call from the operating system that you please stop the job, or you please take some time, or please wait, so that there is another process P1 has to be resumed, right? Now operating system, what it is exactly doing, the details of process P0 will be stored in the process control block of P0. That means the current execution state of process control block P0 will be saved by the operating system. It will take some time, right? So once the process control block has been successfully saved, now what is the other process which has to be executed? The process P1. Now operating system, what it tries to do, it tries to fetch the process control block of the process P1 into the main memory. Okay, that means the reload the state of PCB1, that means reload the state of the process control block of P1 into the main memory. Once the reloading has been successfully done, then the process P1 will be started executing. So prior to that, both the process P1 and process P0 both will be in the waiting state, idle state. Correct or not? Because this is called the switching. To stop one job and to resume another job, the amount of time it will require is called the switching delay, or the concept of stopping one job or waiting one job and resuming another job. The concept is called context switch. And let us try to see the same picture. And once the process P1 is going on, again this is operating system received another system call that we need to execute process P0. Then what is the task done by the operating system will try to save the current state of PCB1 into the main memory. Again, it has to reload the process control block of P0. So once the reloading of process control block has been done successfully, then process P0 will be continued for its execution. So before to that, saving the state of PCB1 and reloading the state of PCB0. In this case, the process P1 will be in the idle state. At the same time, P0 will be also in the idle state. So this is the context switch, or context switch indicates that interrupting a particular process and resuming another process. So context switch indicates that there is some kind of little bit time duration will be observed to stop one job and to resume another job, where the PCB is playing an important role to hold the current state. And my dear friends, many modern operating systems have extended the process concept to allow a process to have multiple threads of execution and thus perform more than one task at a time. So the modern operating systems, or the latest operating system, the latest versions of operating system has the capability that they can be executing not only the single line of execution, single control line of execution, rather they're supporting the multi-threading also. They are supporting the multiple lines of control. Means they can be supporting the multiple lines of control. That means they are supporting the multiple threads. In that area, the process control block plays a vital role. So that's all, friends. In the today's session, we have understood the definition of process. We have also understood what are the components or what are the things associated with a process. At the same time, we have understood the process states, different kinds of states like the new, ready, running, wait, termination, etc. And we have also seen the context switch between two processes with the support of the process control block. That's all, friends. Hope you understand the session. We'll meet soon. Bye.